When there's an emergency that threatens the public, Volusia County's emergency responders do as much as they can to alert the public. Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. On today's edition, we'll take a look at Code Red. It's an emergency call system that you might find helpful one day. Later on in the show, we'll enjoy a segment called Solutions for Your Life. And today's segment will feature Jill Topher, Volusia County Extension Agent and Registered Dietitian, as she gives us some fun information about quinoa, a healthy grain. Then reporter Kendra Lee will take us on a field trip to the DeLand Naval Air Station on Volusia Here and Now. And finally, joining Community Information Director Dave Byron in the studio is Volusia County's Mosquito Control Director Jim McNelly. Those segments, news, and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine. I hope you stay tuned. There's a growing safety problem in the airline industry involving lasers being pointed at airplanes. Within the last month and a half, there have been 9 reported laser incidents at Daytona Beach International Airport and 2,500 incidents nationwide.
Lasers are a particular danger because it starts out small, and as it goes up in the air, the laser will actually spread out, and when it hits an aircraft cockpit and the imperfections in that cockpit window will cause the light to spread out and blind a pilot. And not only blind a pilot, but could cause permanent eye damage.
These incidents occur when a pilot is hit by a laser pointer from the ground aimed at an aircraft, usually on takeoff or landing, which is especially dangerous. The majority of reported incidents have come from the beach area.
The lasers that we've been discussing are relatively inexpensive, and that's the problem. Anyone with 10 bucks in their pocket can get their hands on it and start shining it at aircraft right away. And that's the problem, is that kids on the beach, they don't think anything of it, and the next thing they know, they're shining it up at an aircraft. And that's why we want to get the message out that this is a serious event, and that if you are caught, you will be prosecuted. So do not take it lightly.
Aircraft officials urge anyone who sees activity dealing with lasers pointed toward aircraft to call 911 immediately. When there's an emergency that threatens the public, Volusia County's emergency responders use several methods to alert the public. County employees send news releases to news media. They post message boards on roads, turn to social media, or in some cases, officers go street by street with bullhorns. Another public notification emergency tool used by the county is an emergency call system, and it's called Code Red. When a situation such as a boil water notice, an evacuation order, a bioterrorism event might be suspected, or a child is missing, Code Red will be calling all the registered phone numbers in the affected area. But the number must be in the Code Red database, which is different than the database that is used for 911 calls.
You know, I believe everyone should be registered with Code Red. I mean, this is going to be the quickest way for you to get an alert of something happening in your area. You can set off these alerts geographically. You can set it off. We can set up call groups, just anything. We can set it off for amber alerts, hazardous material spills, and of course for weather things. But I think everyone should be registered just to be informed for that stuff.
The staff at the Emergency Operations Center also is working with area utility companies to obtain customer phone numbers. When the county issued a boil water notice recently in southwest Volusia, many customer phone numbers had not been entered into the Code Red database, or the phone number on file had been changed. It's a good idea for all water service customers, regardless of the jurisdiction in which they live, to provide an accurate phone number that can be called in the event of an emergency. Volusia residents can register their phone number in the Code Red database by calling Emergency Operations Center at 386-254-1500. The Florida Department of Health in Volusia County is encouraging parents to get their school-aged children vaccinated now to avoid long lines just before the start of the school year. And all students entering 7th grade must have the Tdap vaccine, which protects against 3 potentially life-threatening bacterial diseases of tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, better known as whooping cough.
Well, in kindergarten, they need to have completed a series of immunizations that they started as infants, and they are now completing that series right before they start kindergarten. So they get multiple vaccines to enter kindergarten, and then they come back in 7th grade. They have to have a tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis vaccination and a second chickenpox shot. Many children have gotten the first dose of the chickenpox, but they're now due for that second dose to complete their series and have a full immunity. So those children are required to have those vaccines prior to entering school and prior to entering 7th grade.
An updated Florida certification of immunization DH-680 form must be presented to the school before children can receive a schedule or enter school on the first day of classes. Immunizations are offered at several Department of Health locations during regular immunization hours and extended hours in August. To find a location near you, you can go to volusiahealth.com.
I'm Volusia County Chair Jason Davis, asking for you to help us make our roads safer for motorcyclists. You can save a life by looking twice and following these safety tips. Double check traffic at intersections before you pull out. Check your blind spots before changing lanes. Stay focused on your driving. Leave at least a 4-second distance between your vehicle and the motorcycle in front of you. Remember that failing to yield right of way can result in the death of a motorcyclist.
Museums are the legacies of our culture and give context to the rich history of our society. Today, Volusia Here and Now reporter Kendra Lee will take us on a tour of DeLand's naval history.
The DeLand Naval Air Station Museum is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to commemorating the men and women who have served in America's armed conflicts. The museum is located just across the street from the DeLand Municipal Airport. Before becoming a museum, it was also a municipal airport.
This museum started out, the house we have now, 1930s, was a civilian house, and families lived there. And then World War II came along, the Navy took it over, became Chief Master of Arms quarters, and his family lived there. Then after the war, they gave it back to the city. It sat abandoned for a little while, and then the city remodeled it into a museum.
Following extensive restoration effort, the building was dedicated in November 1995 and has become home to an impressive collection of historical artifacts, veterans' mementos, and military art. In 2001, the museum was placed on the National Register of Historic Places.
When we start out inside, we have a film of the pilot that landed this plane in the water. He's still alive and lives in South Florida. So we have a news film clip, we show him of that, show him about the plane. And in the museum, we have a little classroom which is dedicated to the original people here, the instructors and the students. We have a lot of photographs. And if you go out through the museum, we have a nice library. We have a lot of static displays and things you can see. You can spend, probably would take you a good 2 hours to do everything.
2 unique projects that can be toured by visitors include a large boat from the Vietnam War and a Tomcat plane from the Cold War.
We have 2 crews. We have a boat crew, which actually is a lot of touches, and we work on it Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings. And we have a high school support group, Orange City High School. Boys work on the boat with us. And then the Tomcat, and we have a group from Embry-Riddle University works on that. And then the person that's in charge of it, he's a retired Navy pilot who flew Tomcats, and he's in charge of the airplane crew. One of our restoration workers was in World War II working on repairing bombers B-17s and B-24. So our crew is a mixed crew on restoration of the plane.
When visiting the DeLand Naval Air Station Museum, you can find things here like this 81mm mortar with a .50 caliber on top. If planes, guns, and boats aren't enough to get you to the museum, the staff will be. Each staff member is a volunteer veteran with hundreds of stories to share. The museum is open from noon to 4, Wednesday through Sunday. For more information, visit DeLandNavalAirMuseum.org. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Kendra Lee.
Time now for some solutions for your life. And today, Jill Toffer, University of Florida Volusia County Extension Agent and registered dietitian, discusses the healthy benefits of quinoa, a healthy grain, and she'll demonstrate how to prepare it.
Hi, and welcome to Solutions for Your Life. My name is Jill Toffer, registered dietitian and University of Florida Extension Agent here in Volusia County. Today we're going to talk nutrition, and our featured food is quinoa. Now, quinoa is a whole grain, and if you look carefully at it, you'll actually see it's a seed. It's very nutritious, and it comes to us from the Andes Mountains from South America. It actually was a staple food of the ancient Incas. What you need to know about quinoa and why it's so special is it's packed with nutrition. You've got a lot of B vitamins here, magnesium, manganese, iron, folic acid, and a very high fiber content, so that's heart healthy. But what really makes quinoa special is its protein profile. It's a complete protein, which means it has all 9 amino acids for the building blocks of protein. Now, when you go to the store, you're going to see that there's different colors of quinoa. The most popular is this ivory, and you can also find it in red and black. You can get it at the whole grains aisle. You're also going to find it in the gluten-free aisle. What you want to look for when you purchase the quinoa is make sure it says that it's washed. And the quinoa we're going to cook today already says pre-washed on the package. If you buy it in bulk, it's not going to be pre-washed, and you're going to have to rinse it in cold water with a sieve or something small enough so that the little seeds don't fall through. It's because there's a coating around the seeds that are a little bit bitter, so make sure you pre-wash it if it doesn't indicate it on your package. Okay, so now we're ready to cook. We're going to prepare basic quinoa. So it's always 2 parts liquid to 1 part quinoa. So 2 cups of water, and then we're going to use our pre-washed quinoa, and we're going to use a cup. Very easy. Now, quinoa has quite a plain flavor, a little bit nutty. It's got a nice texture, but you're going to want to find what seasonings work for you, because you're going to want to jazz it up. If you've never had quinoa before, think of it like rice. You're going to use it as a side in soups. It's used a lot in salads. So whatever works for you as far as flavor. 2 cups of chicken broth works really well when you're cooking to kind of pump up the flavor. So I'm going to turn this on high because we want this to fully boil. Once it's boiling, we're going to turn it down to simmer. We're going to cover, and you just wait 15 minutes on simmer, and you're going to have a nice, light, fluffy texture. The germ actually cracks, and it's going to absorb the liquid fully, so you can tell it's done. So here's our finished product. The quinoa's absorbed all the liquid, and it's ready for your favorite meal, whether it's hot at breakfast, a side dish for lunch, in a salad with your favorite vinaigrette, or in soups. Again, find your favorite seasonings, vegetables, or legumes. Try it with quinoa. I think you'll enjoy it. As we move away from highly processed foods with added fats, salt, and sugar, this makes a great nutritious addition for your family. If you need further information, please contact us with the information at the bottom of your screen. With Solutions for Your Life, I am Jill Toffer.
Time now to join Community Information Director Dave Byron in the studio as he sits down with Mosquito Control Director Jim McNelly.
Well, thanks, Amber, and hi, everyone. You know, with Volusia County now in the typical summer rainy pattern, the county's Mosquito Control Division expects the annoyance level to start increasing. But overall, this has been a relatively light year for mosquito activity. Today, we have with us in the studio Volusia County's Mosquito Control Director, Jim McNelly. We're going to get the latest on the mosquito conditions in Volusia County, and we'll tell you what the county is doing and what you can do to help reduce the number of mosquitoes around your home. Jim, how you doing today? Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Dave. It's nice to be here.
Well, Jim, I know that we've talked in the past in that, you know, overall, this has been, you know, sort of a mild year for mosquito activity in Volusia County. But of course, now we've got the active rainy season and so forth. What is the latest on the mosquito conditions in Volusia County?
It has been light, Dave, up until about 10 days, 2
Yeah.
weeks ago. Now it really has picked up with the rain, so we're seeing production coming into the upland off the salt marsh, and honestly up in the upland itself,
Right.
we're seeing production as well. So we do have some above average mosquito populations at this point.
I always like to ask you, Jim, it's a simple question, but I always like to ask you, for the benefit of the viewers, what is the connection between rainfall and mosquito annoyance levels?
Well, mosquitoes require water to initiate their development cycles. So either eggs that are laid in the soil or on top of the soil, in a bucket, in a wheelbarrow, those eggs are covered with water, and that initiates the developmental life cycle. Or mosquitoes come and they find the water that's sitting there in that bucket, in that rain puddle, and they'll lay their eggs on top of that water. But mosquitoes require water, whether it's rainwater or water from a high tide on the salt marsh.
Right. So typically, you know, as I've learned from talking with you, you get a period of heavy rainfall, and usually it's pretty predictable, 7 to 10 days.
7 to 10 days later. Yeah.
And you guys know that.
We do, and we have a lot of these production sites, these
Right.
puddles and whatnot mapped. And so the inspectors do their best to get around to the swamps, the puddles.
Right.
It's a difficult job, can't get them all, but we do the best we can.
And of course, one of the main concerns about mosquito activity is the fact that you know, they do carry human diseases, encephalitis, and you know, West Nile and that sort of thing. My understanding is that we do have one suspected or confirmed case of West Nile in Volusia County as we speak.
It's been confirmed now, so it was
Okay.
confirmed earlier in the week.
Okay.
You know, we get the news ahead of time that we have a potential case.
Right.
And so a week before it was confirmed, we did get an indication from the Department of Health that we had a potential case. And so we react to that as if it was a confirmed case. So we ramp up our surveillance, we ramp up our control efforts
Right.
in the area where the patient is.
Well, mosquitoes don't leave a calling card. So how do you know when there is a case of West Nile or another disease? How do you know where that person became affected? Do you actually really know that?
We have a pretty good idea. So that information is obtained by the Department of Health.
Right.
They put together a little report for us, and they'll give us the residential area, and then they'll give us some travel history. So
Right.
maybe that person has traveled to some other part of the county, and that's where we focus our
Right.
enhanced surveillance and our enhanced control efforts.
You mentioned the health department, and of course, Volusia County Mosquito Control and Volusia County Health Department are like the 1-2 when it comes to dealing with mosquito activity. You know, you have a very close partnership with them. They sort of, I guess, concentrate on the public health side, and you guys concentrate on the response side, I guess.
We do. It's a terrific partnership. It really is a true collaboration. It's not unique to Volusia County, so this takes place in nearly all of the counties
Right.
In the state of Florida. And that allows us to access our neighbors' information as
Sure.
well.
Jim, you know, I kind of kid you, but it's really true that you have a series of chicken flocks. You call them sentinel chickens, kind of a low-tech way to monitor the presence of mosquito activity in Volusia County as it relates to diseases. Tell us about these sentinel chicken flocks. Very, very accurate barometer of the conditions in Volusia County.
Yeah, barometer, smoke alarm, they're a good indicator of activity in the bird populations. And that's where our encephalitides start, expand, and this is a result of mosquitoes biting birds. Ultimately, if it builds up to a certain level in the bird population, the wild bird population, the mosquitoes will take it from them to horses or the human
Right.
population.
Right.
So our sentinel chickens act as wild birds, but obviously they're caged.
Right.
They're in known locations, and there are 12 of those locations throughout the county.
Right. And so, you know, the mosquito bites the sentinel chicken. I guess that they're not affected the way a human would be. I guess they don't get sick from these?
No, they don't get sick. So their antibodies take care of any
Right.
disease that they've been infected with. Doesn't hurt the bird.
Right.
We take a blood sample from the
Right.
birds once a week, send it to the Department of Health. We send it out on a Tuesday. By Friday, we get the results. It really is a great indicator of disease activity.
you know, I know you you monitor activity in other parts of the state, and sometimes other parts of the state can experience things before we do. Any indicators from across the state of Florida that you're watching?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing West Nile positive chickens in counties around us.
Right.
Walton County is experiencing a human case of West Nile virus right now. And we always track those imported cases of disease, dengue and chikungunya, that come back with travelers to the Caribbean or elsewhere.
Right. Jim, so here you are, you're in the rainy season. Obviously, it's a busy time for you and your folks out there. What are you doing right now to manage the annoyance level in Volusia County?
You know, we have a fully integrated pest management program, Dave. So it's everything from using the helicopter on the salt marsh to get around the salt marsh quickly. If we find production, which we did this week, going back out with that helicopter and treating it. We have 8 to 9 inspectors that that go to different areas of the district and the county at large and go to service requests that the public put in, actually inspect the grounds of a residence if necessary, and look at these puddles and swamps that we have mapped. So if we can get those mosquitoes in the water before they develop into adult mosquitoes and fly away, we're better off for it.
And of course, you know, that leads me to the question about what you do the rest of the year, and you spend a lot of time the rest of the year in what you might call proactive activities to prevent, you know, the annoyance level being so high during the wet season.
Yeah, we do a heck of a lot of work with the ditches and canals
keep
throughout
that water
the district.
flowing.
If we keep that water flowing, that helps us a lot. Mosquitoes require water that is stagnant or standing still. So keeping that water moving by removing obstructions, removing trash that folks throw in the ditches and canals, and doing herbiciding to knock back the vegetation.
And of course, you know, you've been known to use a few fish now and then as well, and that's an interesting side of what you do to be proactive. You have these little fish that actually, I guess, bite the eggs, or how does that work?
We do. They're called mosquito fish. They look just like a guppy that you would buy, a female guppy that you would buy in a tropical fish store. And if you put them in the water, they will eat the larval and the pupal stages of the mosquito's life cycle. So we have a little hatchery where we raise these fish. We also take natural populations of the fish that are out there in nature and move them around into different situations.
Interesting. For people out there, Jim, that perhaps they want to help themselves around their own property, there's some very simple things that people can do that really make a big difference in their comfort level around their home.
They can do what I do every week, Dave. So if they'll just take a walk around their yard and look for any container that is either holding water, tip that over, or if possible, maybe it's an unnecessary container, throw it away, or flush it, flush your bird bath once a week. But if people would just do that once a week during the active season from March through October, it'll help themselves and their neighbors immensely.
And it doesn't have to be a large container. It can be a very small container, which can really lead to a lot of mosquitoes.
It can. Just a bottle cap can produce, oh gosh, you know, 100 or more mosquitoes over the course of a season. So it's not just those wheelbarrows or gutters or bird baths. It's things as small as a bottle cap or you know, a discarded potato chip bag.
For people that like to be out and about, of course, just about everyone in Florida is out and about, like to walk, run, you know, golf, whatever it might be. What advice do you have for people, particularly if they have any concern about compromised immune systems or that sort of thing?
Well, if you can, you know, most mosquitoes are active between dusk and dawn. So if you can avoid those time periods and do your outdoor activities during the day, for the most part, you'll avoid most mosquitoes. There are some mosquitoes that are active during the day. So if you can, and this is Florida, so it is hot and humid, long pants, long sleeves when you can. If you can't do that, then use one of the recommended repellents. And if people will just go to our website, volusia.org, click on the services menu. Through the mosquito website, they can access the CDC's website, where you'll get a list of 5 or 6 different repellents that do work.
And the active ingredient, as you've told me numerous times, is DEET, DEET.
Yeah, there's not much better. It really is the gold standard in terms of repellents.
And I always like to just remind folks, the chemicals that you use, your folks are all professionally licensed, trained, and that sort of thing, and the chemicals are all regulated, and people don't need to be concerned about any damage to their animals or their plants or themselves.
No, when used properly, and we always use them properly, we're using chemicals that are regulated, that have been certified
Right.
by the EPA, by the state of Florida. As you said, everybody is licensed through the state of Florida, receives education to maintain that license on new technologies, and all of our equipment is properly calibrated and characterized.
Sure. And Jim, as we close, you know, obviously the county council is going into budget season. The county budget for next year gets adopted first and third weeks of September. You're a part of the county government budget. How do you fit into the county overall budget scheme?
Well, we have a district, and the folks who live in the district being roughly east of 95, all the way north and south, they pay a millage, which supports the district. And then we have contracts with the cities outside of the district, like DeBarry and Deltona and DeLand, and we provide services to them when they request it. And the rest of the county, undeveloped, unincorporated Volusia County, is provided services through a line in the budget by county council.
So basically a small tax levy funds the mosquito control operation, and sure, life would be a lot more difficult without mosquito control.
Mosquito-wise, it would be much more difficult, yes, Dave.
Jim, I want to thank you for sharing the information. For folks out there that perhaps they want to get more information, they want to go to your website or that sort of thing, how do they get more information?
Again, access the website through volusia.org/mosquito, but you'll see us in that drop-down directory. Or call. So call 386-424-2920, and we're there 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. There's a machine there to take a message if we're not there.
Well, Jim, again, I want to thank you for being with us. Busy time for you and your folks. All in all, it sounds like things are going pretty well.
Pretty well. We could have done without that one case of West Nile, and with any luck, that's all we'll see this year. But our folks are working very hard out there, Dave.
Our guest today, Jim McNelly. He's Volusia County's Mosquito Control Director. And with that, we'll go back to you, Amber.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can always feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. Incidentally, you can find the County Council's meeting calendar there too. In fact, you can use volusia.org to find out about meeting dates, workshops, topics of interest, activities, and how you can become involved. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a wonderful evening.